The city never slept, but tonight, it felt very quiet. High above the shining buildings, Alexander Sterling's big home shone like a castle, and inside that castle was a man who had everything, except love. Alexander Sterling was a very rich man. People talked about him in offices and on the streets. His grey eyes looked like they could see right through you, and his sharp jaw made him look very strong. People listened to him because he was powerful, and many were even a little scared of him. He had built big businesses in many countries, from ships and buildings to computers that changed the world. People wanted to be like him or do what he said. But even with all his money and power, there was a space in his heart that no money could fill. Tonight, he went to a big party. The room was full of sparkling lights, fancy decorations, and soft music. He wore a perfect tuxedo, shiny shoes, and looked very handsome. But even with everyone around, Alexander wasn't paying attention to them. Then he saw her. Clara. She was 24 years old, tall, with dark hair, and wearing a beautiful dress. She laughed and danced with her friends. She looked full of life and happiness. But it wasn't just her beauty that caught Alexander's eyes, it was her smile. Her smile was different. It was real, bright, and brave. In that moment, Alexander felt something in his heart he hadn't felt in a long time. He didn't know yet if it was love, curiosity, or just wanting to know her, but he knew he wanted to meet her. He stood up straighter, walking carefully so everyone would notice him. Then he walked toward her. The people around them seemed to disappear. The music felt quiet in the background. Every step he took was strong and confident. Alexander Sterling didn't ever walk up to someone unless he wanted to. And now, he was walking to Clara. "Good evening," he said in a calm, deep voice. Clara looked up, surprised, but she kept smiling. Her eyes were curious. "Good evening," she said, her voice playful, like she already felt he was special but wasn't sure why. "Can I join you?" Alexander asked. Her friends looked at her, waiting for her answer. She only tilted her head and smiled a little. "Yes, but don't talk about work," she said, giggling. And that's how the night began, not with drinks or small talk, but with an invisible thread connecting them. Alexander felt pulled toward her in a way he had never felt before. He didn't know yet that Clara's smile and charm were more than just beauty. They would test his money, his power, and one day, his heart. After the party, Alexander asked Clara, "Can I call a driver to take you home?" Clara smiled and said, "Yes." They walked to the car together. The driver opened the door for her, and they drove to her house. When they got there, Alexander asked, "Can you put your number in my phone?" Clara took the phone and typed her number carefully. She smiled, handed it back, and walked into her house. The next morning, Clara woke up and saw a text from Alexander. It said, "Hope you slept well, my love." A few minutes later, a delivery man came to her door with a big package. Inside was a beautiful green dress with shiny silver chains, a golden purse, and some fine necklaces. The delivery man asked her to sign for it. Just as she was admiring the gifts, her phone rang. It was Alexander. "Babe, see you by 5 p.m. We are having dinner together. Come with the dress. See you soon, my raw gold," he said. Clara couldn't stop looking at the pretty green dress. When it was time, Alexander called again, asking if she was ready. She came out, and the driver opened the car door for her. She got in, and Alexander said with a smile, "You look perfect in the dress." "Thank you," Clara said shyly. They drove to a big, fancy restaurant. Everything was beautiful. The lights sparkled, and the food smelled amazing. Alexander sat down with her and said, "Order anything you like from the menu." As they ate, he looked at her and asked softly, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Clara looked up, her heart beating fast, and said, "Yes." "Thank you," Alexander said, smiling. From that day, Clara went everywhere with Alexander: parties, meetings, trips, and fun adventures. He surprised her with gifts, sweet messages, and little surprises all the time. He even opened a big business for her and introduced her to his rich friends. Everything felt perfect, happy, and fun. At first, Clara seemed very happy with Alexander. They went to parties, trips, and had fun together. But slowly, she started acting differently. Clara had a secret. She wanted Alexander's money. She whispered about it to her friends and made plans with them. She started hiding when her phone rang. She would go to another room to answer calls and quickly make up excuses. "I'm helping a friend. I need to check something outside." Sometimes, she looked nervous and tense, especially when Alexander was around. Her friends reminded her about the plan, and she smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. She was pretending to be loving and sweet, but in reality, she was thinking about Alexander's money and gifts. Alexander noticed small things. She was always busy, always rushing to answer a call secretly. Sometimes, she would even lie about where she was going. Even though he loved her, he started feeling that something wasn't right. He didn't know what she was planning yet, but soon, he would find out. After spending special, close moments with Alexander, Clara started acting a little differently. Sometimes, she would open the door to go somewhere and then come back quickly, looking a bit nervous. She seemed to be thinking about something secret. She also started asking questions about Alexander's business, things she never cared about before. "How does your company work?" she would ask. "Who are your important clients?" she said, looking curious. She pretended to be very interested and excited about his work, smiling and listening carefully. Alexander was happy she wanted to know more, but he didn't know she was only trying to learn things for her own plan. Even though she looked sweet and loving, Alexander started noticing small changes. She was asking more questions than usual. She seemed to pay extra attention when he talked about money. Sometimes, she smiled in a way that made him wonder what she was really thinking. Clara was acting very clever. She wanted to appear interested and loving, but inside, she was planning how she could get more from Alexander. Alexander still loved her, but a small part of him began to feel that something was not quite right. Alexander loved Clara, but he had started noticing strange things. She was acting differently, hiding calls, asking questions about his business, and sometimes smiling in a way that made him wonder what she was really thinking. He decided he needed to know the truth. One evening, Alexander met with his closest friends. They were people he trusted very much. "I have a plan," Alexander said quietly. His friends listened carefully as he explained. "I will have a yacht accident," he said. "Everyone will think I'm gone, even Clara. I'll be hiding nearby, watching everything she does." His friends looked shocked. "Are you sure?" one of them asked. "Yes," Alexander said firmly. "This is the only way to know the truth. I need to see her heart." They helped him prepare the plan. Every detail was carefully thought out. Alexander knew this would be hard, but he also knew it was the only way to find out who Clara really was. He felt nervous, but also determined. Soon, he would know if the love was real, or if it was just about money. The day of Alexander's plan finally came. He went on a yacht ride with Clara, just like usual. The sun was shining, and the water sparkled. Everything looked normal. Then, as planned, the yacht rocked suddenly. Alexander fell into the water. Clara screamed loudly and cried, calling his name. "Alexander, no, please come back," she shouted. She ran to the edge of the yacht, waving her arms and crying. Her tears fell freely as she called for help. All around, the crew acted quickly, trying to save him. People on the shore heard the news: billionaire Alexander Sterling missing, presumed dead. But Alexander was hiding nearby. From a safe place, he watched everything. He monitored her phone calls, watched who she went out to meet, and saw how she acted when no one else was watching. He saw the truth, everything Clara really felt and thought. Would she cry because she loved him? Or would she smile secretly, thinking only about his money? This was the moment Alexander had been waiting for. The moment that would show him exactly who Clara truly was. Alexander had been hiding carefully while everyone thought he was gone. He watched everything, every phone call Clara answered, every place she went, every word she said. At first, Clara cried and shouted, acting very sad. She hugged his gifts and whispered his name. But soon, Alexander noticed something strange. She started taking secret calls, hiding messages, and meeting people in private. Alexander realized the truth: Clara didn't really love him. She loved his wealth, his gifts, and the life he could give her. Alexander felt hurt, but he also felt calm. He had learned the truth about her heart. Then, he revealed himself. He appeared quietly in front of Clara, safe and composed. "Clara," he said softly, "I needed to see the truth. I see now what you really care about." Clara couldn't hide anything anymore. Her face went pale. She realized that pretending to love him had only hurt herself in the end. Alexander looked at her, not with anger, but with quiet strength. "I loved you, and I gave you my heart. But sometimes, love can't live with lies." Then he turned and walked away, not out of anger, but with a sense of peace. He went back to his life, traveling, building his empire, and sharing happiness with people who truly cared. And though the pain was real, Alexander smiled at the thought that the world had taught him something very important. True love is rare, but it is worth waiting for. And those who are honest at heart will always shine brighter than any treasure. Alexander closed his eyes for a moment, feeling free. He had everything again, not just wealth, but the knowledge that his heart was safe, and the future was his to embrace.